Hi guys, we're going to go over a few questions from the homework for quarter 3 exam review day 1. So I believe we're on page 7 and we're going to start with the first question. So the first one says, write the equation for the line displayed in the table. Now, the general form of an equation is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So let's start with m. We'll find the slope of our line. And in order to do that, we have to find the change in y and divide it by the change in x. So we can pick any 2 points and we can ask ourselves, how do we get from 8 to 10? We have to add 2. And how do we get from 6 to 9? We're going to add 3. So the change in y over the change in x, or our slope, is 2 over 3. Okay, we can bring down the rest of our equation. And now we have to find our y-intercept, which is b. Now, sometimes we can just look on our table and look for where x is 0, but there is no x value of 0 on the table. So instead, what we're going to do is choose a point, any point on our table. So I'll pick the first one, which is 6, 8. And we're going to substitute that in for the x and the y of the equation. We'll substitute the 6 in for x and the 8 in for y. And now all we have to do is solve our equation for b. So if we simplify, we get 8 equals 4 plus b, subtract by 4, and we get 4 is equal to b. Oh. So our slope is 2/3, our y-intercept is 4, and now we can write the equation of the line, which is y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Okay, question number 2 says find the slope. Now we just did that in the problem before. We have to find the change in y and divide it by the change in x. So to get from -2 to -1, we have to add 1. To get from -6 to -2, we're going to add 4. Y over x gives us 1 over 4 as our slope. Question number 3, how many solutions, 1, 0, or infinite, would you get for the following systems of equations and explain why? Okay, so for the first one, the first thing that we have to look at is to see if their slopes are the same. If they have the same slope, then we'll take a look at our y-intercept. If they don't have the same slope, that automatically means that they are going to intersect, which means we are going to have one solution. And that's because they have different slopes. Number 2, B. We see that we have the same slope. The slope for both lines is 3, and they have the same y-intercept. So if it's the same slope and the same y-intercept, that means we have the same line, and our solutions are going to be infinite because they're going to continue to cross. They're going to continue to intersect the entire time they're on a graph. So really, it's just the same equation. So for B, we have infinite solutions, and that's because we have the same line or the same equation. Okay, for C, we notice that our slope is 3, but we have different y-intercepts, which means that the steepness of both lines are going to be the same, but they're not going to start at the same point. They might start at a different point, so their y-intercept is different, which means that these two lines are never going to intersect. So there are no solutions, and then the reasoning is because they have the same slope, but different y-intercepts. Okay. Question number 4. It says fill in each of the blanks with supplementary, complementary, corresponding vertical, or alternate interior, alternate exterior. One of those will not be used, okay? So we have to look at the different pairs of angles that we have. This is from Unit 2. So angle 1 and 2 is this one and this one. Those are supplementary angles. Then we have 6 and 8, those are across or opposite each other, which means they are vertical. So I can cross out supplementary and I can cross out vertical. Next we have 2 and 8. So that's this one and this one. Okay, they are on the outside of the parallel lines. They are on opposite sides of our transversal, which means they are alternate exterior. Next we have 6 and 3. So that would be this one and this one. They're on opposite sides of the transversal and inside of the parallel lines, so those are going to be your alternate interior. And finally, 1 and 5. That would be this one and this one. And they look like they have the same angle. I could literally take the number 1, pull it down, and it would be angle 5. So those are called corresponding. Okay. Number 5, divide 4x to the 4th y squared by 2x squared y squared. Okay. So we're dividing, which means we can set it up looking like a fraction. Ooh, 4x to the 4th y squared over 2x squared y squared. Okay, so first we have to see if we can divide the coefficients. Can 4 be divided by 2? That's yes. So far we have 2. Then we have x to the 4th divided by x squared. You can expand if you need to. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's over 2 x's. 2 of them would divide to become 1, which means we are left with x squared because we are left with 2 factors of x. Then we have y squared over y squared. Again, if you would like to expand, you can. That would be y times y over y times y. These would divide to be 1. These would divide to be 1, so there's nothing left over y's. And our answer is 2x squared. Okay, not our final problem. A and B are supplementary. Angle A is 2x minus 10. Angle B is x plus 40. Determine the value of x. So what we need to know is the information here. What does it mean for two angles to be supplementary? It means that they are add to equal 180. So that means angle A, which is 2x minus 10, plus angle B, which is x plus 40, together equal 180. So now we can just solve our equation by combining our like terms. 2x and x give us 3x. Negative 10 and positive 40 give us positive 30 equals 180. Subtract 30 on both sides. And we get 3x equals 150. Divide by 3. And x is equal to 50. That's all we had to do according to our problem, so we are done. We found out the value of x is 50. Okay, now finally our last problem. It says choose one, none, or infinite for each. So an equation that yields x equals x means there are infinite solutions. And that's because you solved an equation and on both sides of the equal sign you get the same thing. 8 says an equation that yields negative 2 equals x means that there is one solution. And that solution would be the negative 2 because the value of x is negative 2. And number 9, an equation that yields 5 equals 0 means that there are no solution because it ends up with an equation that is untrue.